Hi Dolores, how are you?
I'm good, Alan, and you?
I'm very well. I'm very well. I'm going to do a very strange thing because normally when we do the YouTube videos, we have a concept of what we're going to talk on, and then you generally interview me. But I have no topic. I have no preparation done. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I love the Tommy Tiernan show. I love he's unscripted, just straight out, and some of the stuff in there then is really enjoyable. So I thought, you know what? I'll just throw a few things at you and see, what you think or what your answers or what you're going to say.
Okay.
One thing I've always admired you and genuinely admire for you, I can't believe the energy you have. And oftentimes, I have to be honest, I remember like when I used to go up to Dublin, say for the week, and it used to be a long day, it'd be 12-hour days, that kind of, and then we said by Friday I'd be knackered. And if I spoke to you on a Friday and you say, oh, that kind of way. And then I come off and realize, did I really tell Dolores just because I did like long days, I'm knackered? And then you tell me that you did this for day, you were up here, you did this, and you drove here, you came back, and then I think, did I genuinely? And I did. So my first question is, where's all that energy? How did that all come about? Were you always that way?
Yes, I was. I always have an abundance of energy. Um, I think my mind is quick, I think. Um, and I'm very happy in my life. I don't have many people in my life that are quite negative. Most of the people in my life are positive, and I like it that way, and I have to work on it to get it that way. So it's always good energy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
so I
yeah.
do. I have an abundance of energy. I'm very lucky, I suppose. Yeah.
I know that we say, you know, younger parents, I'd often do my consultations and you often go, geez, that Dolores is, fantastic. Jesus, this, and that side of it. And I think, I don't know, Dr. Truth, but I assume they see it differently. I assume they have in their head in, at the start of the journey. And I assume you had it as well when you started being a carer, well, obviously for your mum first, but then in particular when David, that side of it, did you have a kind of like a positive attitude straight away? Or were you like, what was your feelings or your attitude then? Have they changed over time?
Um, I suppose because Dave was so premature and he nearly didn't make it on
Mm.
two occasions, and a machine turned off on two occasions. I was so proud of him. I didn't see his skin on anyone. And I thought, and even still, I can smile at holding him and loving him and saying, come on, Dave. And, you know, his skin was transparent, so he could only be touched every 4 hours. So I used to sit there waiting for the 4 hours to be up. And once a nurse did it, thinking I wasn't there, and it was very odd. Like I said, that's fine, I'll stay here for the next 4 hours. Um, but I suppose I was lucky in the way that I was afraid something was going to happen to him. And so I celebrated every day he was alive then. Oh my God,
Okay.
he got to his due date. We had a massive party. He was born the 15th of October. He was due on the 26th of December. So on the 26th of December, he couldn't have been brought out to Santa Claus. It couldn't have been anything like that. Well, of course, Santa was gone then, but couldn't do anything like that. So we had a party in the house. But I was worse than COVID then. I was saying to people at the door, if you have a cold or I think you're going to sneeze, do not come in. You know, so I was very careful that way, and everyone knew how I was about him. Um, I brought great joy to me, I have to say. I thought he was a really special child, like, and challenging, and even from pulling out the tube when he could, even when he was that premature, he still managed to pull out that tube. I remember thinking, if he carries on like this, he'll kill us all. Like, he'll be so tough. And they do actually, from their little personalities, even at that stage. Now being older, looking back, he had that stubborn streak going on. Um, so no, I felt very blessed to have him. And sometimes, like, I had bad days, and I had days that when I went to consultants and I had never heard of pushed a wheelchair, I never heard of cerebral palsy. I mean, I had to bring someone with me because the consultants or the therapist would throw a word at me. And I might hear nothing for the rest of the time in that meeting. So,
are they very knocking on those meetings? Do you kind of go into those meetings and do you kind of go in and is it like flooring? As you said, you're just floored, and as you said, you're not picking up what they're saying because you're just, is it, am I?
Well, at the start, it was very daunting and I felt it very scary, because there was nothing bright about going into these places. This is 26 years ago now, say. So it was sad, it was miserable, it was all these equipment that you would not want to see your child in. And you're looking at other children in there down the road, and they're all using these equipment, and you're holding your beautiful baby in his best gear going in. And I felt pretty scared. And now when I do go and visit charities, it's uplifting going in. There's a huge welcome, and it does my heart good to see this for younger parents now coming in. But you're sitting down maybe with your baby in your arm with 3 people behind a desk, just reading notes and saying, hand him over there to the nurse and take his clothes off. And I go, no, I can take his clothes off myself. You wonder where he gets a stubborn streak from then. And I can do that myself, I don't need the nurse to do that. And, I suppose I was on the defense always. But I thought he was a star. Like, I didn't see his skin, as I said, on anyone. And with a child, I feel when you're a parent of a child with additional needs, the lows are low.
Okay.
But the highs are higher than high. And it's very hard to explain it. But if I could even bottle that feeling that you have and sell it in Brown Thomas, it would be a bestseller, because it's just fantastic. When, like, they were said David would never smile. It was wind. I was looking at them going, come on, like, in my mind. And they know, of course, more than I did. And when he would smile, it was happiest day, And then when, like, he could reach up and do things and, roll over, and they might be small, but it was a huge celebration, and I suppose looking back on it, I was a parent. I wasn't a physiotherapist, an occupational therapist, a psychologist, a hydrotherapist. I wasn't a nurse. I wasn't a consultant. And sometimes with all of these in your life, it can take away from you being the mother or father you want to be. Because you're told, do this physio with him every day. Bring him swimming 3 times a week. No, I was lucky David liked the pool and I did, so it was great. It was easy. Do the feeding, like to get him to feed and do things another part of the day. Do the psychology all through the day. That sometimes you just want to just be a normal parent. And I think for parents out there, that's the most important role you have.
That's interesting. I know what you mean. Because what you think, you have so much technical stuff that you have to get. You've been told, right, you need to do this technical thing.
Yes.
So you're almost like turning into a bit of a nurse, a bit of an OT, a bit of a speech therapist, a bit of, and as you said, then the kind of enjoyment of having a child, then sometimes,
Yeah, and
was there an awful lot of pressure going on you? Would pressure be a word, or stress would be a word, or what would be the kind of word that you would describe a lot of when he was young, when he was growing up?
Frantic, really.
Frantic would be.
It was non-stop, and it was a big worry. Will he do this? Will he do that? Will he do this? Will he walk? Will he not? Will he talk? Will he take a bottle? Will he be able to do this? He may never take a bottle. One nurse was horrible to me and said, no, you get great nurses. Believe me, I love them. And I've met fabulous ones. And they all know who they are. One nurse said to me one day, a normal day, looking at my child in the incubator, and said to me, do you know that child may never know who his mother is? And I looked at her and I said to her, but I will always know who my son is. And when I left the hospital, I cried all the way home. And why did she not leave me be alone today and happy that he was alive today? And so you get knocks unexpectedly, when you don't really accept. But I tell you, a turning point for me, Alan, when Dave was about 4.5 or 5. It was all about early intervention. Early intervention was only coming in there 26 years ago. It was all early intervention at the time. It was all new. Let's get him. So I had David in the hall, walking with like tripods. They're like 2 tripods. And to be like, and because David had to be told from his brain to his feet, not you're automatically, Dave can't stand unaided, but to get him to walk, he walks with a care walker, but he could fall and will not save himself because he's a startle reflex as well. So it's dangerous, but you still want to push him. There's a fine line there of how far do you push your child as well. And he was walking with these tripods, and you'd have to say to him, right hand, stop, left leg, stop, left hand, stop, right? And he was coming along up the corridor very, very slowly and very shaky. And I was holding a long mirror for him to see himself, because it was meant, this is what I was told to. And anyway, David stopped, and I said to him, come on, we must try, we must do this, we must, come on, we must do another few steps. And, and he stopped and he looked at me, and he's only 4 or 5. No, yeah, that's all he would have been. And he said to me, Mum, David's happy. The way David is doing this, David's happy. So I remember stopping, and I said, what? He said, David's happy doing it the way David is doing it. David's happy. And I said, don't you want to do this? And don't you? And he said, Mum, David's happy doing it the way David's happy. And I remember putting down the mirror and putting down the tripods, and we sat on the ground, the 2 of us on the floor. And I said, we must try to make ourselves better always in everything. He's going, Mum, David's happy. And David, being David. And it shut me up and it caught me. And I said, I was like, before the ad came out, I was like, will we go to McDonald's? And he was going, yeah. But for hours that day, I was quiet because I was saying, who's pushing who here? Yeah. Is he really that happy? Does he know what he's going to miss if he doesn't do this?
And that's one thing you'd have to say about David. He's so happy and contented as a man. He is like, how many other 26-year-olds you hear, everybody, mental health is a huge thing, all that side of it, and David is the one thing you'd have to constantly say, he is actually it's great to see that he's so content. And when you were, as you said, when he was 4, you were wondering, will he be? Quite the opposite. Yes. He was anything but. That's all he's been.
Yeah. So that would be him, So I think it's great too for parents to put your child out there. There's no hiding, there's no covering, there's no, oh him, no way. It should be, those words should be not used. I'm sure they could put conditions on everything, names on everything, but the name of your child is David or Sean or whoever, and that's them. And once you see the fabulous beauty they have and the spirit they have, I think parents, with children with addiction needs, that it needs to be more embraced, is in a better wording, better stuff around it, more positivity, more outward love there, because this is what these children have. David's 2 biggest areas, he doesn't understand money and he doesn't understand time. Now, if you or me, Alan, lived in a mind where we did not have to understand money or time, how would that mind be? And they're the 2 things that we've tried and tried. He can say the time, he can read the cards, he can read the receipts, he can do the stuff. So sometimes you'd look at him and you'd just be so, so happy to have him in your life. And you'd look at your neighbors and they look as if they're perfect, perfect family with the 2 children and the whole stuff, and they're everything right. And you say to yourself, and this is what I say to myself, oh, thank God I have David and not them. Oh, thank God I have him, and yeah.
You've always been that, but don't you always say things like, isn't it great we're all so different? Isn't it great that there's a world where everything is and everybody's different, because we're all the same, we're born, we're able to be up with money and up with this. What good is that in the world? I think that's fantastic. I think I won't get a job at Tommy Tiernan anyway. He's safe enough for another 20 years.
I certainly don't want to get interviewed anyway.
Okay, Doris, come here.
Maybe
Thanks so
David.
much.
We should send David to him.
Send David to him. That'd be an interesting interview.
That would be an interesting interview.
Have a Buddy and David on at the same time and see who's happier.
Yes.
All right,
Anyway,
Doris, thanks.
thanks, Alan.
Thanks for your time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.